Hey folks, welcome back to the Holy Comforter Episcopal Church YouTube Bible Study. I'm Jimmy Abbott, the priest here at Holy Comforter, and as you can see, I'm not in my office. I'm at home with the family this week for Thanksgiving, and I also hope that you get to spend some time with your family during this Thanksgiving week. The gospel lesson for this upcoming Sunday is Matthew chapter 24, verses 36 through 44. The first Sunday of Advent begins the new year in the liturgical calendar, so we are now starting year A in the Revised Common Lectionary. So we're leaving Luke behind, and we're starting again anew with Matthew. Now, just a couple of words about Advent. Advent is a wonderful time of the church year. Most of us get excited about Advent because we're preparing for the birth of Jesus, which is true. The great celebration of Christmas culminates the season of Advent, but it's also a time in which we prepare spiritually for the final things, for our own death, our own judgment, whatever that looks like, for when we meet God, our Maker, and when Jesus returns as King. Really, truly, Advent is the time in which we all live, in this already but not yet, in that Jesus Christ has come, was born, died for us, rose again, has given us new life through the gift of the Spirit, but it's not quite been fulfilled yet. And so Advent is this really rich time in the church calendar where we really get to struggle with the things of this life, of beauty and of sin, of light and of darkness. And we're going to get all of those themes throughout the season of Advent. So in this gospel lesson, it's important to note that when Jesus talks about how, keep awake because one will be taken away and one will be left behind, he does not mean the rapture. The rapture is not a thing. It's not in the Holy Scriptures. It's not a traditional Christian doctrine. I don't know where it came from. It's a relatively recent thing that came up in the last 150 years about when Jesus returns, our souls get sucked up to heaven or something like that. Not a traditional Christian doctrine. Really, what Jesus is talking about is he's warning the disciples about the shockwave that will be sent through the Jewish Christian world when the temple is destroyed. And so he's actually talking about one will be taken and one will be left. Well, actually, we want to be the ones that are left, because to be taken away means to be taken away by the Romans, to be taken away potentially for judgment or maybe for execution. I know it's kind of flipped around from what so often we hear about the rapture as, we don't want to be left behind. Actually, in this setting, we definitely want to be left behind. We do not want to be the people that are taken. Also note that throughout this teaching, really what Jesus is warning us against is not sins of commission, but it's sins of omission. It really seems to be that carelessness is the thing that will sneak up on us, and that is really dangerous in our spiritual life and our relationship with God. It's carelessness. The old church word for this is acedia, Acedia. It could also go by sloth or laziness, but essentially that's what Jesus is warning us against. And really, that is what Advent is a reminder to all Christians, is to stay awake, to keep alert, to look out for when the master of the house will come. I think back to that great Advent hymn that begins, "Sleepers, wake," that was written by a German Lutheran pastor in I think it was the 17th century. A plague was coming through his town, and from his apartment window, he could see, this is gruesome, he could see the dead bodies being stacked up in the churchyard. And he had a real, true, tangible understanding of how brief life is and how close death can be. So that's why he wrote that hymn, "Sleepers awake." Wake up. Be aware that any moment, any hour, any day could be your last, and that might be the time that you have to meet your Maker. So prepare yourself and Always live prepared so that you can greet with joy the coming and the return of our Lord Jesus Christ. So Advent is going to give us all these wonderfully rich stories about. It sounds weird to say rich stories about judgment, but it's there because we know that there is something awry in us. There is something amiss. That we are both good and evil at the same time, and that Advent is going to call that out in us, and Advent will ask all of these questions of us as we travel throughout these 4 weeks together. So wonderful to share some time with you. I hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. God bless, and we will see you on the first Sunday of Advent.